Hey guys, my name is Lily and I'll be presenting a Pecha Kucha on different topics in freshwater and saltwater environments. A few topics I'll be covering is the definition of what exactly is a freshwater and saltwater environment, what is distinct to each environment along with what kinds of organisms live in each water habitat. I will also be addressing the effects that humans impose on these environments and my own personal ecological footprint. Now, what is a freshwater environment? Well, you guessed it, it is a body of water having low to almost no salt in it. Not only that, but at most times the water is free-flowing, not frozen. This is a key survival for many different types of organisms, but man itself. Freshwater environments include lakes and ponds to rivers and bogs. Now, after knowing what a freshwater environment is, you should probably get a good idea of what a saltwater environment is. Now, the name says it all. A saltwater environment is a body of water that contains salt. Now, an example of this is an ocean. Now, there are exceptions such as an estuary, where the water contains a mixture of freshwater and saltwater. You may be wondering, what are the different types of freshwater and saltwater environments? Well, there are many different types of freshwater environments, and they range from lakes, rivers, ponds, to streams, and bogs. Now, while there are many different types of freshwater environments, there are not many different varieties of saltwater environments. There is the biggest body of water, the ocean. Now, something that is distinct to a saltwater environment is that there are many different types of organisms that are only able to live in saltwater environment and not a freshwater environment. There are exceptions such as where salmon live in oceans and go swan in rivers. Now, another obviously distinct thing is that saltwater contains salt while freshwater does not. Some varieties of freshwater environments that exist in and around British Columbia are all of our lakes. From the famous Lake Ontario to Lake Patterson, British Columbia has over 700 freshwater lakes and over 100 rivers and creeks, including the Fraser River. Now, some types of saltwater environments that exist in and around British Columbia is, of course, the Pacific Ocean. A few examples of organisms that live in freshwater environments are kinds of fish such as trout and salmon. Amphibians such as frogs and toads also live in freshwater environments along with other animals and insects. A few examples of organisms that live in saltwater environments are different kinds of fish such as sharks, whales, dolphins, and many more. Something in a freshwater environment that allows for the organisms to thrive in it is that there are many types of organisms in a complex food chain to feed off one another. Not only that, but there are many different reasons for different areas. In rivers and streams, everything depends on different factors such as the temperature of the water, how quickly it is moving, and the turbidity. Something in a saltwater environment that allows for the organisms to live and thrive in it is that the ocean is home to thousands of different kinds of species, ranging from the smallest bacteria to the largest mammal, the blue whale. The ocean is a habitat for many dissimilar animals depending on the area. For instance, 10% of the organisms that live in the ocean live in the benthic zone, while the 90% live in the pelagic zone. Some organisms that live in a freshwater environment are shrimp, fish, geese, and many more. This all depends on the area. For instance, organisms in the Fraser River are not the same in a small pond. A few examples of organisms that live in a saltwater environment in British Columbia is many varieties of fish, mammals, bacteria, plants, insects, and many more. There are many sources of pollution that can enter these fresh and saltwater environments. For example, just changing the motor oil in your car can affect some nearby body of water because of leaking or improper disposal. There are bigger issues such as oil spills in the ocean, like the famous BP oil spill earlier this year. The effects of this pollution in these freshwater environments along with saltwater environments is leaving a slick trail of oil on top of the water where many organisms will become trapped. The oil acts like an adhesive, sticking the wings of ducks and birds together. Not only that, but it also limits the availability of food animals can get to feed. Whatever they eat can poison them with the coating of oil. My effect on the freshwater environment in British Columbia is probably using a lot of water as well as littering. The effect of everyone living in the vicinity of BC is that for adults, changing the oil in vehicles and oil leaking from them adds up in the long run. Also, careless littering is everywhere. Not only that, but chemicals rising into the atmosphere will fall down in the form of dissolved materials. The acid precipitation can affect the quality of water along with the forestry as well. Now, here's a quiz I took telling me the amount of water I used a day. Many of us just think that we use water to shower and drink, but I found out that the material items you buy every day uses water as well. You may be surprised at how much water you really are using. Now, I'm going to branch off of water for a bit and talk about my energy usage. We all know that the so-called swirly light bulbs are more energy efficient, but do we really know by how much? The choice between CFLs and incandescents are obviously CFLs. Many of us have switched to CFLs, and that is a very wise choice, and now I will tell you exactly why. Now, both light bulbs have 8,000 hours of usage, which is equivalent to having it turned on non-stop for 333 days. But something you may not have heard of is that incandescent light bulbs uses 60 watts of electricity, while CFLs only uses 13 watts. That is a major difference. Now back on focusing on water. Now, before my house was under renovation, I found out the previous toilet installed had used 10 liters, which is equivalent to 2.6 gallons per flush. Now the new toilet uses only half of that, which is 5 liters or 1.3 gallons per flush. Now let's just say I flush the old toilet 3 times a day. That is over 7 gallons used, but with the water efficient one, if I flushed it 3 times, it would have only used close to 4 gallons. My effect on freshwater and saltwater environments in British Columbia is probably using a lot of water like many other people. Not only that, but later being transported to water environments such as rivers and oceans. Many people think that the water from the tap goes to an endless supply of water, but that's not the case. Even though water is a renewable source, we need to use it wisely. You don't have to stop riding your car or stop buying items or even bathing. Simple things will have a huge impact, like the oil that adds up from leaking cars, little things such as actually properly disposing of your garbage, and that means recycling as well. You can fix that leaky tap in your bathroom, wash your clothes in cold water instead of hot water, and for adults, even though buying a hybrid will leave your wallet light, it will be good in the long run for your budget and the earth. Well, you've had it. I have learned quite a bit on freshwater and saltwater environments, and hopefully you have too. I've covered many topics, so feel free to rewind and soak up all that scientific goodness again. Not only that, but I have learned more about this and being aware of how much you use of Earth's resources, and that we have to save the supplies for the future generations. Thanks for watching and listening. Here are a few sites I've used to support my Pecha Kucha. Feel free to check them out, and I've even posted up the water calculator site link for you to see how much water you really are using. Once again, thanks for listening, and now you can get on with your day.